Welcome to today's Down to Finance podcast by Future Finance Group. My name is Amie Tennant, and today we are joined with Sarah, and we have a special guest in the house, Ricky from Index Wealth. Thank you. I'm going to start off to say that today's episode is a little bit different. It's real and it's raw, and it's one of the most important things that we'll probably talk about on our podcast. And I'm really grateful for Sarah to be able to share her personal story on this podcast. It's about obviously a real life story when it comes to financial planning. And I want to appreciate Ricky for being here to be able to fill in, obviously from his side, how it could have changed the story for Sarah. So Sarah might take it away. So We're going back how many years now?
Nearly 7 years now. So back in 2018, my partner at the time and I and our two young kids who were 2 or just under 2 and nearly 4 at the time. Matt and I had probably spent the first 4 years of our kids' lives renovating our house.
And multiple houses.
Yeah, we did. We worked very hard in our 20s, actually. Brag moment. So we had sold everything off.
Had a beautiful dream of being able to move to the country on a lifestyle property.
Yeah, Matt was big into his motocross and motorbikes and things like that. So, our dream for our 2 little boys was to live on a farm. So we achieved that and we went and bought a 30-acre property out in Lang Lang.
Wow.
So very exciting times.
And I was your mortgage broker, so thank you.
Yes. Couldn't have done half of everything that we've done without Amie.
I might highlight that back then, 7 years ago, obviously our industry was completely different. Back then, it might have been like, a handful of female brokers. Social media wasn't really a massive thing. And obviously building relationships like with other industry related people like accountants and financial planners was probably a little bit done, but probably not to the extent that it was needed. So we didn't have a Ricky, we didn't have a partnership with a financial planner. So ultimately, when Sarah received her unconditional approval, she settled successfully, moved into her property, and unfortunately there wasn't the story like, hey, says you should speak to Richard from Index Wealth and have the 1 hour free complimentary appointment to discuss like income protection, life insurance and everything like that, which obviously, every single day I make sure that that's a priority now, and this is why.
Yes, my story was the catalyst for our now relationship with Ricky. So we moved into our farm and we had been there, I think, for like 6 or 8 weeks or so. Matt was a real go-getter and was out cutting trees on our property because we were getting a new fence line put around the perimeter of our house because our naughty dogs kept chasing the neighbour's sheep. So he was preparing for the fencer to come the following week to obviously put up better fencing. Matt had been cutting the trees down all week on our property like fence line, which was going fine until one Friday afternoon, and one of the trees fell the opposite way and it actually hit a high voltage power line, and Matt was electrocuted and passed away. Sorry. I thought I'd be okay.
That's okay.
Obviously Matt was taken away from us.
And Matt was how old at the time?
He was 28.
28. And you were
28 as
28 with 2 kids under the age of 4.
Yes.
And I remember this day so vividly. It was a Friday, and we look back now and we're like, wow, it's just so amazing how things
on
unfold.
The way home.
And I think Sarah had actually received a phone call from one of her neighbours about, hey, the power's gone out. Like, do you know anything about what's going on in the street? And she sort of said,
lights and sirens everywhere. And I was like, no.
Like, hey, Ames, can't get on to Matt. Like, I'm going to leave the office. Are you okay with me leaving early? And I'm like, yeah, of course. Like, just let me know what's going on later. And then obviously, yeah, she contacted me later in that night and had told me what had happened. And it was like, yeah, obviously I was beside myself as
Well, Matt
well.
was a family friend of yours as
And
well, so it wasn't just
yeah, it
yeah.
was yeah, my brother was quite close with Matt. They'd grown up together. So it was a very difficult time for all. But most importantly, like Sarah had worked so hard for the kids to have the best life. Like her 2 young boys deserved this great life that she had worked so hard for in her whole early 20s. And that was all about to change. And the stress that come with having a $1 million property, not to mention the cost of having a 30-acre farm. Like I've got a farm now and it's only 4 acres,
Yeah,
three
just to
and a
manage
bit
it.
acres. And I'm like, it's expensive.
Yeah.
Like, and so, you know, what unfolded from there, and obviously what have we both learnt since then?
Weirdly, even though I work in finance, Matt was probably at the time that he was the higher income earner in our situation. I was obviously working part-time. But also he controlled, like, not controlled, I don't mean controlled, but like he was in charge of all the finances, you know, making sure the mortgage repayment was in the right account. And, you know, I just didn't really oversee those sorts of things. And so I think the reality of then me becoming the sole manager, I guess, of our finances and our family and navigating, I mean, such a hard time for anyone. And I had an amazing family support, friend support. I even had it at work. Like, you know, I had it, everyone rallied around me. But yeah, I think the reality or the realization of how much I had to manage, it was so overwhelming. And also, like, just making those financial decisions moving forward, like it was all on me to, you know, think and process and decide. And when something like this happens to you, your brain just doesn't really work,
Of course not.
to be honest.
And so in that situation, like, I guess moving forward, we've probably since now had a few other clients that have had
Similar
circumstances
like
that have
life
been,
happens.
you know, like just completely unexpected, out of the blue. 1 minute things are like perfect and going fine, and then the next minute they're not. And obviously I think having Ricky in your phone to be able to be like 1-800.
Yeah, I wish I had a Ricky at the time.
Wrong. What am I going to do?
Yeah.
Like, what can I do? What options do I have? How am I going to pay for everything?
Yeah.
I don't want to lose my house. You know, I want my kids to stay.
And I think as well, I still remember it was my dad that was like, right, well, we need to like apply for, you know, the super and all of those sorts of things. And I was just like, what? Like, I don't know. Like, I think I even called you and I was like, do you know who we supers through? Like, I don't even know who I'm supposed to be calling. And like, your brain is just so frazzled that even the thought of getting on the phone to this super company, I was just like,
to do claims,
I can hardly lift my head off the pillow some mornings.
Exactly.
Like, I don't want to be spending my time, or I don't have the energy to do these things.
And you had to do all of that paperwork on your own. You had to
And that
fill
is
it
also
in.
when I found out that, you know, he was just on the basic super through CBUS that was set up from when he was 15 when he went out and became started working in drainage. And like, considering my mortgage was, you know, $500,000 I think at the time or thereabouts, and I think the best part of, you know, not even 200,000 or just over $200,000 was paid out. And like, I've still got those 2 kids probably until they're 25, the way things are going these days. So, you know, that was a real shock that, well, that's not really going to get us too far, is it? And look, thankfully, Matt and I had worked so hard and set ourselves up, you know, at 28 to own a $1 million property and have, you know, a lower mortgage, thank God, you know, because I'm sure there's other people out there that are buying houses now with a 5% deposit and they have no equity basically in their home, you know. So it is quite scary that if you don't have those insurances or things set up in place. It could be a really, really terrible story rather than just being a bad story. Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
And I guess Ricky, hearing that, like, you know,
wants to shake my strangle me.
And I guess obviously the relationship that we've developed over the last 7 years and the people that you have been able to help when you do receive a phone call where you know, a health something health related has popped up, like, I guess it's not like joy that comes from those conversations, but it's almost
Probably
like
relief.
just relief, like that, like they're looked after, like, and not looked after to the point where they don't have to like worry, but I mean it just takes that immediate stress away from, you know, everything that's like happening in that direct moment.
Yeah, definitely. And I guess that's where like our initial appointments is designed to really figure out what those circumstances look like. Like one of the questions we ask is about the children, like how old do you plan to support them until?
Exactly.
You know, so let's say they say 21 or 25 and understanding what the expenses might be for the family, but just trying to make sure that's incorporated in that life cover so that there's enough money to cover the family until the youngest is independent. Maybe you're covering the mortgage, maybe some estate costs and even education costs as well for the children as well. But it's just really trying to figure out what might be absolutely necessary for that circumstance to the point where just those necessity costs are covered for and that sort of initial stress is definitely not there as well.
And even just like from a paperwork perspective, like I know for me, like I get so overwhelmed with filling in like forms and things like that. And just having that support person to be like, you know, what do I have to do? And then you guys filling in majority of it and us sort of like signing, and it's like, you just like take care of that.
The claims handling, even just speaking to the insurance companies, you know, just that in itself.
You're on the phone for ages. Well, you probably have more direct contact.
Right. Yeah, we've got exactly.
You know, just me ringing up on the 1300 number. You're on the. It's like calling the banks. Like you know,
customer customer service.
You're,
35 minutes.
35 minutes. Your someone answers your calls, and then you came through to the wrong department, and now they're going to transfer you back, and blah blah blah. So
cuts out while you're on hold, and you have to call again.
And when you're already tired and exhausted and emotional, like having that, you know, operator transfer you to a different department, sometimes it can just be too much and then nothing happens, and then just, you know, bad outcomes can come from that. So
insurance companies as well, when you go for a claim, if you haven't actually approach the claim the right way, they'll actually simply just decline it.
Which it would be
happens
just
so
heart-wrenching.
So often, And for us, because we know what is claimable and what's not, we can really just quickly navigate and say, okay, well, we're going to start claiming from this way. You know, they won't actually come back and say, oh, you can actually claim.
They won't workshop it with you.
Exactly. You know, it's like, oh, you've gone for this claim. Oh, well, that's not claimable. That's it.
It's really like
they just
black
decline it.
and white.
That's right.
Tick box.
Correct.
And no.
So it's not even just about knowing, okay, this is a situation and claim on, but then how do I claim? You know, who do I speak to? What forms do I need to fill in? How much information should I be putting on these forms as well? You know, what does the insurance company actually need? So just navigating those circumstances just helps out a lot. Not just making sure that the money gets paid out in a quickly manner, but also just making sure that it does get paid out in the first place. Yeah.
Yeah, wow. Well, I just want to say thank you so much, Sarah, for being so brave. And obviously we love you so much.
Thank you.
And, you know, I did obviously chat to Sarah and say to her, are you sure you're comfortable with sharing your personal story? Because it is something that our office is, you know, really, really passionate about now. And especially over the last 7 years, like we have seen some really tragic stories that have happened with our clients. And I think now we're so grateful because they do have the right cover in place, that they're paying out their mortgages, they're able to keep their family home, they're not under financial hardship, and they're really able to take advantage of the service that obviously Index Wealth offer. So thank you, Richard, for joining us today.
Thanks so much for having me.
I hope you enjoyed this episode, and we look forward to bringing you another one in another week's time. Thank you. Just remember to keep in mind, these podcasts are just general advice. And if you are after something more customized, reach out to your financial advisor, or you can reach out to us and we'd be more than happy to help.